Tara.
Hey, how's it going, Charlotte?
Good. Welcome to Ready Row USA.
Thank you. Welcome.
And have you been out on the water this morning?
Yeah, I'm here on Vashon Island in Washington, and we had one of the most epic, delicious sunrise rows this morning. I was coaching this morning for Vashon Crew. Also, I'm a rower for them. So we had some beautiful 3 by 9 minute pieces for head race prep, 20 on, 20 off. Really fun. How was your morning?
Cool. Well, I went on the Head of the Charles course.
Nice.
With a friend who got in on the draw. I didn't get in on the draw, but I didn't last year either, and I ended up getting in on the wait list. So I figured, don't stop training, right?
Oh, absolutely not. You know, it's great to have the Charles right outside your back door. You know, we do a lot of races out on the West Coast that try to simulate the Charles, but we really don't have a location that has all bridges, you know, with the obstacle course.
Right.
We do have one course in Canada that people love to do that has the turns. It doesn't have the obstacles like bridges, and certainly doesn't have the fanfare of all the great energy that happens at the Charles.
Well, in one of our gadgets and gear sessions, we should do, like, I don't know, good training, because there's a ton of good videos on YouTube for Head of the Charles, and you know, there's bow mounted and stern mounted and coxswain video, and you know, there's a lot of really good stuff.
Yeah, and if people don't know, you know, when you actually go to the Charles, you know, what we did with Seize the Oar when we came, we took advantage of Yaz Farouk's amazing seminar that she held at CRI, which attracted, of course, a lot of junior coxswains who were new to the course. But my double that I brought from Seize the Oar had done so much homework and studied those videos so much that Yaz's approach was really, really helpful. So
yeah, it's such a technical course. I feel my heart, you know, bleeds for people who have to come and have never done it before.
Yeah, there's a reason.
Let's get started. And I wanted to welcome folks to new episode, or to our 26th episode of Ready Row USA. And I'm just going to try and get that. My mouse is doing weird stuff. Do you think you could put that on a full screen, just so I can look aside? And cool. All right, welcome to another exciting episode of the Ready Row USA podcast, and we're continuing our regular broadcast featuring the best of rowing news. We do interviews. We feature gadgets and gear from clubs, rowers, coaches, vendors, and all people related to rowing across the country. Back by popular demand, today is our gadgets and gear episode spotlight. We'll take a look at some of the more useful gadgets and gear we've come across in the last few weeks, including some hacks and tricks that can improve your rowing experiences. And I know Tara's head is full of them, being a coach. Okay, we are thanking our YouTube live viewers. We're on YouTube first, and if you have questions and you want them answered live, tune in on Wednesdays at 11, most Wednesdays at 11. Sometimes we have a change in the schedule, but we'll try and get to as many of your questions and comments as possible. And to those of you listening in on your favorite podcast apps, remember that the show notes contain a lot of additional links and content and visuals that we may refer to in the YouTube live. So, you know, we're always adding cool stuff and offers in the show notes. It's, you know, really cool to have that. Yeah. Because Tara, I know you put in a bunch of great gadgets and hacks, and, you know, there's links for them. So we can't show them to everyone, but you can go and visit later.
Sure.
And then Ready Row USA is a part of the International Rowing.Chat network. We are, you can subscribe at Rowing.Chat to receive notifications of upcoming shows and send in your news tips. Join our community by visiting the website. Love to hear from you. We want to make this podcast relevant to everyone out there, to our listeners, and we love to feature clubs and what you're doing out there. We have
some sponsors, don't we?
We have some sponsors, and they are going to be kind of peppered in through the broadcast.
Great.
But in the booth, I'm your producer, Charlotte Pierce. Our associate producer is Tara Morgan, and she's hosting today. Hi, Tara, again. Senior correspondent is Mark Wilson of All American Rowing Camp, and our new correspondent is Ryan Worth of University of Tennessee, Chattanooga, and he's also a rep for Swift Racing Boats. So Ryan is just the coolest. He's up at Masters Nationals with Mark this week. So they're going to be doing the recap next week, and
a lot of our listeners are probably out there too, getting ready to race. I've seen a bunch of posts on Facebook, people checking into their dorms, people checking into their hotel rooms, lots of awesome trailer pictures from the cross-country track to get to Michigan. Hopefully for some good weather out there. Must be
lots of action. Yeah, my friend Melissa Fournier is at Traverse City, and she said, "Are you coming out? It's in Michigan." I couldn't do it this year, but now that we've been talking about it on the podcast and stuff, I just feel like it's more feasible. I don't know. It's just, it's a national competition, but it's all just a race, one race, So anyway, do you want to flash up our? So Ryan's our new correspondent, and we also frequently consult with Reba Knickerbocker of Bend the Blade. That's on the slide down below. Mm-hmm. And we have a new correspondent, Kelly Kraiss of Orlando Area Rowing Society. So this is the best acronym there is. OARS. Thank you, Kelly. And she'll be joining us in September with some content.
You know what I love about that, Charlotte, is now if you drew a map of all of our correspondents, we are representing Northeast, Southeast, 2 in the Southeast, actually 3 with Mark in Florida, and now we've got West Coast, Northwest. We just need to find ourselves a Southwester, right?
I know, right? Because that was in my notes here. I said we're always looking for new correspondents and contributors, and so please visit the show notes or rowing.chat and send us a message if you'd like to be. We can't be everywhere. So, we don't know everything either. So we'd like to hear from you and, call us out on something if we've said the wrong thing, or, if you have a supplement to what we've said, just, help us cover the scope of rowing.
Yeah. And just a pre-brief, you might be seeing Charlotte and I at the U.S. Rowing National Convention. So if you're one of those coaches from, Rio Salado, Long Beach, Boulder, community, Texas, definitely hit us up when you're at the conference. And for those of you who aren't going to be able to get to the conference, that's why we're going, so we can make sure to bring all that great content to you.
Yeah.
Some form of fashion.
We want to make sure we highlight some of the things like, there's a lot of masters content out there and people that are interested in diversity, equity, and inclusion, and there's some great topics to be highlighted. So we're going to try and do that in our, our home invasion of the rowing, U.S. Rowing Convention. I like to mention our sponsors. Our first one that we're going to talk about is Faster Masters Rowing, and that's run by Rebecca Caroe and Marlene Royal. Fantastic stuff, fantastic content. Incredibly practical for masters rowers. So I've been listening to it because I know they're a sponsor, and I've, picked up a lot of great techniques like oar depth, the connected stroke, things like that. Just fastermastersrowing.com, and in the show notes you'll find, I think there's a special offer too. So, but anyway, we also have the clever engineers at ORInspired.com make it easy for you to video your crew. I'm going to pick up one of these because my deck is, curved and nothing works. Their brilliant design is a tripod with a suction cup of feet that mount onto the stern or bow deck of your boat. And you can read more about that at rowing.chat/sponsors/or-inspired. Anyway, show notes is the key. Do you have one of those, Tara?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay.
In fact, this morning, my method is typically to use my phone, of course, in a waterproof case, to get both port side, starboard side, and over the stern type of shots in order for people to see blade timing, because it can be deceptive if you're recording someone from the side, from port side or starboard side.
Yeah.
They may look totally together in some ways, but then when you show them as we call the drunken octopus from an 8 from the stern deck, it can look like, wow, okay.
Yeah, so someone I know mounted their GoPro on the rigging, and I just don't know if that would work on my boat. But
I think that the reason for the rigging one typically is better in sweep, because you can assess your shoulder angles a little bit better. You can assess where your hands are coming into. Not so much timing, not so much power applications, but really shoulder angles, which a lot of masters struggle with. This morning I was coaching a group of, we call it the old fart 4, and they
I think we can say that on the radio.
Yeah. Working on that belly button rotation for them and the outside arm or outside shoulder rotation, they really need to see it, I think, in order to be able to work on it. But,
what I'd like to do, and I think we can do it now, is run a few more clips of the things we're talking about. I mean, I know that, and we can put a link in for listeners, audio listeners, but some of the stuff that we talk about, it would be really helpful to demonstrate. I know you have some gadgets you wanted to talk about that involve video. So you want to get into that stuff now? And
so, early on in my days of rowing or of coaching, one app that came to the forefront pretty quickly was Coach's Eye, which has a free application. Of course, there's in-app purchase possibilities, but it's really nice because it breaks it down frame by frame, and you can also do a voiceover. I think anytime you're doing video of your athletes or having a friend do a video of you, it's really kind of useless to just send that video to the athlete. It's really helpful to have.
I know, I never watched.
There's, draw with Coach's Eye as an example. We're not sponsored by Coach's Eye, but it is one where you can draw an arrow and say, or circle something and say, here, look right there at that point in the stroke, you're throwing your head back too fast, or you're not engaging your legs, or hey, look, that's a good one. You're engaging right there. Because I think a lot of learners, a lot of rowers are very visual people. In my experience teaching Learn to Row, I always do a little survey and say, are you auditory, kinesthetic, or are you visual? And once they're on the water, of course, we can't do kinesthetic. But I have been known to crawl into a boat and, move your shoulders a little bit, or at least demonstrate.
That'd be nice. You have a little stick you can reach on.
Yeah.
But trace there.
But things like using Coach's Eye, using your iPhone app, maybe in slow-mo mode, or your phone video app. Of course, be careful with having yourself driving a launch and doing that at the same time, because there's been lots of coaches who've been looking to a rower and then hit something because they're not paying attention.
I know. I see that out there on the Charles,
But I think that
when do you say something to someone? Like you see them on their, and they're doing the best they can, I guess. But there was one the coach was looking at her cell phone, and the driver of the boat was looking at the rower, and I was trying to cross. It was like I had to ask them to.
Yeah, I mean, you want to be safe. You totally want to be safe. And in my world, I never take more than 15 seconds at a time of video. Yeah. Never more than 50, because a rower doesn't have the time or the attention span. So you want to get at least 5 strokes, because no one stroke is indicative of what they're doing. And you want to get at least 5 to 10 strokes. But this is a really good argument for getting interns. This is a great way to mentor a coach. It's a great way to have a second coach in the boat, or someone who's maybe on the DL and isn't rowing, having them come and do video. I get offers a lot from people who are injured.
We did that with our coach logbook for a while, and then you could ride along on the launch, but then the rowers riding on the launch got a little too interventionist in there. He started coaching, and it got this.
Zip it.
Yeah, zip it. Do not speak if you're a rower riding on the launch. But I've used Coach's Eye. I just, I'm trying to consolidate things. Like I have the speed coach, right?
Yeah.
And I also have my phone, and then I have, it's too many gadgets sometimes.
Yeah, I think, talking from the single sculler who's uncoached all the way to the competitive 8 that has eagle eye on them all the time, from the coach's perspective, don't spend so much time behind your phone. We get a lot of complaints from rowers about coaches on their phones because it's really tempting to take pictures or do this and that. And then, I'm right here. I'll just post it to Instagram or, whatever. And
I think what your point when in the show notes, I noticed, so you put it into how you're going to apply this gadget, that you get, you need
to have a post-practice plan, because right now I'm sitting on 5 videos from this morning, and I have to really be diligent and disciplined and get those videos to those people. So I have a YouTube channel. And so what I do is I just upload raw video to the YouTube channel and put some notes in the.
Is that your own personal channel, or is that Seize the Oar?
Yeah, it's just Coach Tara. And,
right.
And it's I use a private link because people also can be pretty private and don't want their video publicly posted.
Well, yeah.
So the whole point of that discussion is getting footage for analysis, or getting analysis of something. I like to have it be a rower driven also. Like if a rower is saying, hey, am I opening up too early? Great. Let's take some video. Let's answer that question. And
it's, like you were saying, it's as close to the actual event as you can, because I think, if I watch something 2 weeks from now, I won't have the muscle memory of, like what it felt like to do that either wrong or right.
Yeah. I used to do instant replay. Where I would actually crawl into the boat and hold the phone and look at them. But the problem with that is with most masters, they need their reading glasses to see anything. So you would actually carry a pair of readers in the boat if it was really, something very relevant. So moving on, we also have erg data. I know a lot of people are preparing to go indoors in November and December, and there's a lot of fun. Erg data is one of them. Row Hero is being developed here in the Northwest. That's another one, and that's actually a team tracker. So
I talked to that guy,
David DeWinter from Sammamish Rowing. Very smart program. Erg data is great, and then now NK, of course, is pitching its Empower oarlock, which is actually a digital device on an oarlock that measures all sorts of good data in terms of force application.
I'd like to get one, but it's $600. I mean, would that be easy to share, do you think? Or, like if a couple of us, how easy is it? Just a second. How easy is it to switch in and out?
I don't know. I haven't played with it yet. Sometimes what I'll do is if I'm in a region, I'll send an email out to the regional rowers and just say, hey, does anybody have this gadget? Can I borrow it? Can I come row your boat? Can I, come hear about your experience with this stuff? And NK makes some really great products, and the GPS Speed Coach being probably one of the better ones here at Vashon. It's exclusively what we use.
Now, don't they have the NK link? Isn't that their kind of like a coach can track you on that?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. So one of the things I wanted to also mention, as we talk about toys, rowers love our gadgets, but also coaches love our gadgets. And some of the things that I've really loved using are anytime I can get a wakeless launch. Great. I spent this morning waking out a poor double that just gave me a lot of flack. I'm driving a Boston Whaler, and it's got a lot of power, and I just have to be really careful. But wakeless launches. And now there's the development of electric wakeless launches, because a lot of the waterways some of the waterways we work on have restrictions on motors. So, like up in Alaska, they can only row or use a coachless launch with a motor certain hours of the day. Working in protected water, as in water that is a natural preserve, for instance, being mindful of that, especially if you're in a small boat program, having boats with no wake is really, really ideal. I love driving them when I can, and you can have a lot of friends with you on a wakeless launch. The other thing I love is my Blue Ocean Megaphone. It's an electric megaphone that has made by NK and can be hooked up to a coxswain headset, and mounted on the front of your boat, so you can have a hands-free experience. Those are great. Anything in terms of waterproof cases, there's a lot of great Otter company makes some great stuff for that.
Yeah, I'm always wondering, like is seeking the perfect phone mount.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Any ideas on that?
Well, we have a strap that fits around the oar lock. It's just a elastic nylon strap that has a clip, and the actual clip holder, the one we have, holds the speed coach, the GPS speed coach in it. But I think those clips, a lot of people are making those for iPhones so that people can have them on their arm or have a GoPro on your head. So I think there's a lot of mixing and matching you can do with that.
Right. Now you had, you had a few gadgets that are effective for inclusion and para rowing.
Yeah. So
you want to talk about those?
Yeah, a big trend right now is making sure that your materials, your website, your Facebook page, your posts, and everything are visually, they're able to be used by people with visual impairment. And one of the great couple of programs is using the voiceover function on the iPhone, and you can use Erg Chatter, Erg Buddy with your rowing and your erging, so that the erg is actually talking to you, which is kind of nice and gives you feedback as you're going.
So like for visually impaired, or
for visually challenged people, for sure. And it also just allows for a dialogue, more of a dialogue to happen. Right. And I think with anything that's inclusive, independence is a big part of an inclusion. Providing independence and providing some sense of control or an empowerment in the rowing process, because then that eases the stress and you can just kind of let it rip. Other things that we use gadget-wise for inclusive rowing are a product called Active Hands. And Active Hands.
What's that about? What's that?
Active Hands are these really cool kind of glove material. It's a glove product. It's made in the UK, and what it does is it allows people with limited grip or partial limited grip, or maybe they're missing, they have some finger differences, or they've had a stroke, or they've had something happen where that one hand isn't as strong. It actually straps their hands to the oar.
Amazing.
And it's originally designed for gym use, using barbells or being able to grip.
I know one of our, I just went to the community rowing, had the send off for the national team, para national team last night. And one of their most amazing athletes, I mean, she's got like abs that are just steel. She's amazing. But I think her, her para, what do you call it? Feature impairment, whatever. She's got a hand issue. So, that might be something she might already use it. I don't know, but.
Yeah, I mean, we use any number of things, from ace bandages to whatever. I mean, we sort of joke about duct tape and twigs and electrical tape and all of that. But this product,
you're the one that told me about electrical tape. I used to take duct tape, but then I realized that it was leaves the residue, right? So
one thing, we're going back to that tip about, basically making sure that you're applying your gear. We like to buy gadgets, we like to shop for gadgets, we like to talk about gadgets, but actually having a plan for them is a really, really important aspect of all of this. It doesn't have to be.
We talked about we've talked about the video analysis, post-practice, doing it soon, and then voice side-by-side comparisons. Do you do a lot of that?
Yeah. So, one thing I've been trying to inspire one of my para rowers to look at para athlete PR1, which is the arms and shoulders athlete. And I've put his video, sorry, I put myself back up here. I put his video, next to that person's video, find one that's pretty similar, because you can often download videos of people on the Olympics or from para trials or something. You say, okay, look at you versus this person. Okay. It takes a little bit of technical knowledge and being able to do side by side, but you could just do it in the moment too. Be like, okay, you just did this. Now here, look at this video.
That would be so cool. Yeah. Amazing.
And I used the phrase goal athlete. And what I meant by goal athlete is someone that is your size, is your thing. You're not going to look like Jevy Stone in your single,
Oh, come on.
Love Jevy Stone. We'd love to have Jevy Stone on.
Hey, we see her out there on the Charles. It's so cool.
I watched
one time she had this thing, like she was dragging off the stern. I guess it was to measure, what do you call that? Bounce or something?
Yeah. She's amazing.
But she, even at her level, she was training. And I heard that she also trains like at 14 strokes a minute.
Yeah. So one thing kind of linked to that is, having people who are better than you often row up, right? And so putting yourself in a stagger situation at practice and say, hey, Jevy, for instance, you start, I'll start 2 minutes ahead of you, and then you come and, I'll be your rabbit. And then you can feel her flow and you can feel her power application. And it's really nice. It's really inspiring. And
I noticed that in races, when I have people behind me.
And lucky for us, she found the double, and now she's going to be competing in the double. So.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun.
Maybe something else.
Well, we wanted to mention our longtime sponsor, Rose and Thorn Active Bras. And speaking of bringing confidence into the boat, these are great bras for active women, and we do have a discount if you go to rowing.chat/sponsors. It's the discount code is ROW10. roseandthorn.com. So thanks to them for being such a long-time sponsor. We really appreciate it, being able to do this for everyone.
So I wanted to draw attention to a question that we have here. My seat height doesn't feel right. Is there a gadget or a hack for that? And I had mentioned to Charlotte before the show that I had just gotten off the phone the other day with Victor from Rowing Pad, which is up in New Hampshire. And we talked a lot about posture, and we talked about seat pad not just being for comfort, but actually for posture. And I think when you measure your athlete's torso length as opposed to inseam, one rower is not the same as the next. I have a rower in my Learn to Row program who has a long inseam but a short torso. Her seat height issue is going to be different. Also, if you're just throwing your masters into boats that maybe they fit into and maybe they don't. Some popular hacks are garden kneelers. If you get your garden kneeler at the garden store and cut it to the size of the seat, that gives you about 2 inches of height. There's, of course, the JL gel pad. There's the Soar No More, which is a kind of like putting your butt on a sticky note. It keeps you in your single. I think it's really good for singles because it makes you feel.
I know people that have those. Yeah.
You've got Rowing Pad, and you've got just some great options out there other than playing with your spacers to affect your seat height. Checking your marks when you get into the boat is the best way to know what to do, and then hopefully not having to slog through really.
And we also have Mark Wilson, our senior correspondent, mentioned John, is it Evan or Ewan? It's in the show notes, but he has a self-centering span gauge, and I think he's producing those now.
Nice.
Allows spans to be checked and adjusted far more quickly than you can do using a tape measure. And, for someone like me who's sort of dysfunctional about spans and all that math stuff, I would love to get one of these. So I'm going to do that.
We're getting close to our time. It's 29 47.
We will wrap up in a second. I just want to mention Mike Davenport's got a new workbook out called Get Ready Now, 12 Immediate Actions to Take Before Your Next Rowing Season. And he's maxrigging.com. Again, it's the show notes. We'll have the link. And we have a episode hashtag to announce and a winner to announce.
Great.
And so that will be, let me see if I can get the right stuff up here. The episode hashtag is up on the screen now, and it's hashtag RRUSA more strokes. So just some version of that, RRUSA more strokes. And you can mention the URL rowing.chat, and you can use it in your social media with the URL to win rowing services, gadgets, and gear. And our July winner, we have a great person who's a new coach. She's just taken the coaching training from US Rowing, Nancy Mack of Northampton Community Rowing. And they row on the beautiful Connecticut River in Massachusetts.
Yeah, great.
She's recently accepted a position coaching novices at Pioneer Valley Rowing Club, in addition to her full-time job, I might add.
PVRC is awesome. Great.
I know, they're so wonderful. And they have their steak race coming up. You can win an actual steak.
Nice. Always good.
And I think second place is a pie. So,
yeah, of course.
If you got to know the second place person, you could have steak and pie. Anyway, Nancy will get a prize from Ready Row USA. And thanks for subscribing and watching. And she also notes that US Rowing has abundant resources, free resources like training plans, stuff on coaching, safety. There's a whole bunch of stuff if you explore the website. So she wanted to put in a plug for them. So
I have one last plug for a toy, for a gadget that I used with coaching private singles, or doing private lessons, obviously for singles. And that is a bobblehead toy. So one of those bobblehead things, it's a bobblehead with the suction cup, and you put it on the very tip of the stern of the boat, and you get it at like Archie McPhee's, or it has the little Hawaiian girl dancer. And what it does is it gives the rower a visual of whether the boat has check. So if the bobble goes back and forth, it's too much check. So
I don't know if I want that information.
Yeah. It's actually really fun. And it keeps.
I think that's what Jevy Stone's thing was doing. That shows if you're going with the speed of the boat, you're not going to get that much, right? Is that right?
So as another fun way of learning, I'm always about making it fun and making it interesting and really visual. Having a little Hawaiian girl suction cup to your deck and making sure she doesn't hula too much is a great way.
It adds to the pleasure of rowing.
Totally.
I wanted to mention we're trying to get more of a flow of rowing club news coming in. So we'd love to hear from you. The club news link it's an easy form, and it's on our show notes. You can send in your rowing news, events, regattas, if you want to put that up on the screen for our YouTube people. And no club is too small or too remote, and no newbie is too fresh. So and we're starting to get some, but we can help you promote your stuff. We'd love to hear from clubs out there.
Yeah.
And we also have our gadgets and gear forum where we get a lot of information for our suggestions for our spotlights like this one.
So let's talk about next week. Obviously, everyone's hot and ready to race up in Grand Rapids this weekend. And we've got a couple correspondents that'll be there for us. We have Mark Wilson and Ryan Worth, who will be up at Masters Nationals, roaming the tents and roaming the clubs, talking to people and finding out what's going on. And then, so next week, we're going to have a really fun Masters Nats recap.
Yeah, the tears, the agony, the agony of the feet, is that?
Yeah. So if you have some great accomplishment that you want to report from Masters Nationals after this weekend, we'd love to hear about it. So maybe send some photos of your team with their medals, or just celebrating and just having a great time. We'd love to see some photos from that. I'm sure we'll see a lot on Row 2K in their galleries. But we hope
you can always reach us via the contact form on Rowing.Chat. And thanks again to our sponsors. We're wrapping up, but we couldn't do it without you. Faster Masters,
Rosenthorn,
and the new one. Yep, or Inspired. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I am the producer, Charlotte Pierce. My company is Pierce Press, and I'm always welcome inquiries about manuscripts, especially about alternative education or coaching. I'm looking for titles in that division right now. Mark Wilson, thank you, Mark, for all your help with the podcast. He's one of the co-directors with Jim Dietz of All American Rowing Camp, and they've just announced their winter sessions, so don't delay. They do fill up, and they're fabulous. I actually go every year now. If I'm good, Santa Claus gets me a rowing camp. So
nice.
I try and be good.
We need more of that on the West Coast for sure.
Here's Tara's foundation and her rowing club.
Yeah, great.
Say something about that.
Yeah, so Seize the Oar Foundation wants to help your boathouse be more inclusive, and we provide lots of services to help you think through some really challenging aspects of being inclusive, whether it's equipment or facility or coaching, mentorship. So we'd love to help you out. Just give us a shout at seizetheoar.org. And I also run a Facebook page devoted to the art of learn to row for masters. Mm-hmm. So I'm always plugging people's learn to row accomplishments and events and tips and tricks. So right now we're doing a survey of what LTR students always say. What's something an LTR student always says? My number one is, that's a lot harder than it looks.
or
back.
Or look at that heron.
Yeah, look, a birdie.
Birdie. It's really cool. And we were all learn to row once, and you know, you also have a lot of tips for coaches and clubs and how to sort of transition these people into regular rowers and avid rowers, and
how to keep your learn to row students. Yeah, that's a big
cool.
part.
So,
I'd love to have a whole discussion about that, because we're about to do that with our Learn to Row students. They're about to graduate into the master's program, so helping that transition. I'm also doing a project called the Lifelong Rowing Project, and it's about rowing and aging. And what we're looking for is, tell us what you think the perfect stroke is. Tell us about you. Send us a photo. And there's a whole really fun survey to fill out where you can share your passion. It's intended for rowers over 50 who are rowing, sometimes into their 90s. So we're hearing from rowers all over the world. We have rowers from Belgium, rowers from Germany, Australia chiming in.
You've gotten a lot more responses recently, haven't you?
Yeah, I did. It's actually had a nice little uptick. So.
That data is great. And we've got back to school coming up, Coaches Toolbox, Masters Nationals wrap up, club spotlights, and we're going to do more on head races, previews and wrap ups, including the head of the Charles, of course, and some of the other really exciting ones that we've been hearing about. Ryan Worth is down in Tennessee, and he's going to be keeping us posted on those really exciting ones down there. And of course, more gadgets and gear. But Tara, you're the best. Thank you. I know we ran over time, but there's so much to say.
So much.
Thank you all for listening, and please remember to visit the show notes for lots more content and special deals and stuff. So
great.
Thank you all.
All right. See you later.
Good night. Goodbye. See you next Wednesday. Bye.